Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you to yet another webinar hosted by MICS, and this time on a very important topic of VAT applicability on the gold and diamond industry. However, we would also want to, cover up few topics which are very important as far as VAT law is concerned. Since 2018, VAT has been applicable in UAE, and we have seen that compliances have been becoming a part of our system with corporate tax in 2022. Lot of changes and lot of implementations from the FTA has been happening on VAT as well. And we thought, it's right if we can update on all the recent amendments that the law has been through. So we have built a very strong team when it comes to VAT. We've been doing a series of webinars on corporate tax since a long time. And I thought, it's always right to also do the same for VAT. So I have my colleagues Tarun and Vidhi, who are going to take you through this applicability of VAT on gold and diamond industry. But before that, the only small information that I feel is very critical nowadays, and we've seen with a lot of clients, is basically when it comes to VAT audits as well as VAT refunds. A lot of clients have been facing issues when it comes to VAT audits and refunds. And I'm happy to say that, our team has been building that deliberately, and we have been taking a lot of effort to help a lot of clients while building this practice. We have been doing a lot of series of webinars, and this is the first one for VAT. So I hand over the floor to Tarun to take you through the basics of who we are as a team and what are we going to cover on VAT today. Over to you, Tarun.
Thank you so much, Pratik, for the brief introduction. Myself, Tarun Agarwal, here heading the team of Accounts, Taxation and Compliance at MICS International. So we as a team, here we are the partners of ours, and myself and my colleague Vidhi Shah as a VAT manager, and this is our executive team. Today, we are going to talk about the basic implications of gold and diamond, since gold and diamond is a very important sector as far as the UAE is concerned. And the several flow of amendments which has been recently got to notice in the UAE laws and regulations, and for the tax refunds of the tourists and the digital gold trading. So, as it is rightly said, UAE is one of the largest hub for the gold and diamond industry. Before we dwell into the nitty-gritties of the taxation on gold and diamond, I want you to walk through the volume of industry we are talking about here. UAE gems and jewelry market was valued at 8.34 billion US dollars in the year 2023, which is anticipated at the robust growth of 6.84% CAGR throughout the year 2029. Hence, making this sector a very significant, robust and dynamic for the contribution in the US economy. Some of the major key market drivers and the key market trends are, first of all, its strategic location, right? Since UAE crossed through its route to the African countries, European countries, and the Middle East countries, the tax-free environment of its jurisdictions, digital transformations, and the rise of lab-grown diamonds and the gemstones, which has been contributing a significance in our economy. Okay, now coming to the VAT implications. This is the Cabinet Decision number 25 of 2018, right? In many Middle Eastern countries, the sector of gold and diamonds has been contributing a lot. For me to clarify you that on the introduction of VAT UAE law on 1st January of 2018, UAE's economy for gold and diamond sector has declined to 50 to 60% in the first quarter. The major reason was when the VAT law was introduced, only loose diamond stones and the gold investment bars were kept at the 0% VAT rate. Rest, all the wholesale transactions or the retail transactions were kept under the normal UAE VAT tax regime, which which is a major blockage of cash when we are considering from the point of view of retailers when they are going to purchase it, right? Because it will be a 5% cash blockage which we are going to pay, and that 5% can be released only at the quarter end when we are filing the returns. So considering this, the UAE government has introduced on the 1st of June 2018 the cabinet decision number 25 of 2018, which clearly states that where a supplier makes a supply of goods to a registrant recipient in the state, and recipient either resell such goods or produce or manufacture any other goods. Now, when I'm talking about the goods, goods means the gold or the diamonds. The definition of the goods in this cabinet decision is either it's gold or diamond. Okay, so when the recipient is purchasing from the supplier, when the supplier is making supply to the registrant recipient in the state, and the recipient is either going to resell such goods, produce or manufacture such goods, then the supplier shall not be accountable for the accounting for the VAT tax on the invoice. It is a duty of the recipient to book it under the reverse charge mechanism. Now, here government imposes of three conditions where this cabinet decision can be exercised, where these options can be utilized. Okay, so the first is, as I said, the acquisition of the goods should be for the purpose of resale, manufacture, or produce. The recipient must be registered at the time of date of supply, and the gold items or the recipient shall calculate the tax on the value of the goods supplied to him. Okay, so basically this was a reverse charge mechanism. This has helped a lot of the businesses to release the cash flows of the working capital, and so slowly and gradually the economy with respect to the uh, gold and diamond sector is concerned has been boomed up since then. Okay, now let's talk about the transactions, right? So basically there are the three major transactions as far as the gold is concerned. First transaction is the wholesale sales to local retailers and the wholesalers in UAE only, that is B2B. Wholesale sales to overseas retailers or the wholesalers, that is we are exporting the sales, and the local tourism, that is local residents, retail sales to the local residents and the tourists. Coming to the wholesale sales, coming to the wholesaler sales, with reference to the public clarification VAT P032, which has been recently introduced also before 2023, what happened is any supplier of gold items. Okay, so I just want to know what treatment was going to happen before and how it has been changed after 1st of January 2023. So what used to happen before 1st of June 2018 to 31st of December 2022, when we were discussing of that cabinet decision under the reverse charge mechanism, I have told you the goods definition that it covers the golds and the diamonds. That goods definition has been changed temporarily for that limited period of time from 1st June 2018 to 31st of December 2022, which covers the making charges also on the gold and diamonds. So what used to happen is when the supplier is selling any product, basically here supply is a jeweler, right? When I'm dealing in the gold bars, there is no making charges. Here we are talking majorly of the jewelers. Okay, so when the jewelers which are supplying the jewelries consist of main principal component is of gold or either diamond, and he is selling to a recipient registered in the UAE. Okay, so the whole transaction, whether the price has been charged separately or price has been charged in the single composite, it was under the reverse charge mechanism, and the recipient has to pay the tax on it. But with the introduction of the VAT P032, that is a public clarification, government has recently introduced this, which says that the making service charges, any supplier of gold items and making services has to consider whether the supply constitute of only supply of gold items, or it consists of both the gold items and making services, whether it is single composite supply or it is a multiple supply. Okay, starting with the single composite supply. What do you mean by single composite supply? If the supplier, it's as simple as that. If the supplier charges a single price of an item, if a supplier charges a single price of a gold item, including the making services in one invoice and send it to the recipient, okay, that is a single composite supply. Now, how do you qualify that it is a single composite supply? So basically, there are the three conditions for that which qualify that is a single composite supply. The principal component, that is gold or diamond, and the related services, or ancillary services. Related services or ancillary services includes the making services charges from 1st June 2023. From 1st January 2023. The principal component and the related services or ancillary services, including the making charges from 1st January 2023, is so closely linked that it is unnatural or impossible to split. That the price of both the components cannot be separated, and both the gold and the making charges has been provided by the same supplier. This constitutes the single composite supply. When these conditions are fulfilled, the whole transaction constitutes a single composite supply, and the recipient has to account these transactions under the reverse charge mechanism. He is responsible for accounting such transaction in his VAT return, not the supplier. Now, provided the conditions of the cabinet decision number 25 has been met. What were the conditions? That he is registered at the date of supply, that he is going to either resell, produce or manufacture the other gold items, right? Now, what is the supplier's obligation on it? Supplier's obligation has to obtain a written declaration from the recipient that, sir, if I am going to sell these items to you, okay, you have to give me the written declaration form that you are registered at the time of date of supply, your TRN number, and that you're going to use this for the production or the manufacture or the reselling of such goods for our safety. And the another obligation of the supplier is that we need to check the VAT TRN number of the recipient mentioned in the declaration letter with the FTA portal, that it is a valid TRN number through the means provided by the FTA. So when you log into the Imara Tax portal, there's a window called TRN verification where you need to verify our TRN. So that constitutes a single composite supply, and it will be whole account under RCM. Okay, what if the conditions of cabinet decision number 25 has not been met? This transaction then will be wholly fall under the forward charge mechanism. Then supplier has to account it under his tax invoice. VAT has to be implemented on the whole invoice, gold as well as the making charges on the whole invoice, and then it has to be paid. Now, since the single composite supply has been concluded, now we are moving forward to the multiple supplies. Now, what is the multiple supplies? If the supplier charges separately for the gold items and for the related services, including the making charges from 1st of January 2023, okay, or when the prices are separately reflected into tax invoices, this has to be considered as the multiple supplies. Means when a supplier is supplying a jewelry, when the jeweler is supplying a jewelry, it is mentioned that the gold value has been 100,000 dirhams, let's say, and the making charges on the gold item of 100,000 dirhams is, let's say, 5,000 dirhams. Okay, it is mentioned clearly separately. So it is a supplier's responsibility to account for these transactions separately as far as the VAT tax is concerned. Okay, so what would be the transaction? On the gold items, it will be RCM. A supplier in the tax invoice, the gold items, it will be under the RCM. The recipient will account for these. On the making services, supplier has to charge 5% VAT. On the making services, supplier has to charge 5% VAT on it, and he has to report such VAT in his VAT returns. Okay. If we are charging the VAT on it, and if the recipient is registered, he can dutifully claim these 5% VAT paid on the input services in his VAT returns. This was the multiple supplies. Okay, this is the standard case study with respect to which we are concluding for the single composite supply and the multiple supplies. So basically, in the single composite supply, when the Mr. Charles has sold the gold items worth of 160,000 to Mr. Mark. Okay, in the single composite supply, this whole transaction will fall under VAT at the rate 5%. But Mr. Mark has to fulfill the conditions of cabinet decision number 25, and Mr. Mark can send the declaration letter and conclude and take care of all the proceedings as per the UAE VAT laws and regulations. So it will be completely 5%. Mr. Charles has not to report anything in his VAT return. Mr. Mark will report under RCM in his VAT return. what if it is multiple supply? Suppose in the multiple supply, in this on the same consignment of 160,000 dirhams, there is an 8,000 dirhams of making charges. On this 160,000 dirhams will be reported under RCM, that will be reported by Mr. Mark. Okay. On and 8,000, 5% VAT will be applicable on the standard rated, which will be reported by Mr. Charles on his VAT return. And the VAT paid on Mr. On the VAT paid of 5% by Mr. Charles can be claimed easily by Mr. Mark in his VAT return, as it is a standard rated expense and which can be claimed in his returns. Okay, so basically, this is the executive summary of whole transactions in the VAT as far as the wholesales, B2B, and the exports of sales is concerned. So, a supplier in the UAE has registered a company. Okay, he is importing a precious metals or the other metals. Now, what is the investment precious metals? Investment precious metals are gold, silver, or platinum, which has the purity of 99% or more, and is in the form which can be traded in the global bullion market. Now, government has eased down the VAT taxation on these imports. So there is no VAT on these imports. That is VAT that 0% will be applicable. Okay. So what about the other metals, which is not of 99%, that is the 22 carats of gold, or if I am importing such, what is the VAT implications on that? On that, when I'm importing VAT, when I'm importing the gold on this, I have to take the custom registration first. Okay. Supplier in UAE has to take the custom registration first. When I'm taking the custom registration of the MOFAC, I have to fill some certain duties forms in the MOFAC. Okay. Through which my TRN number, that is a VAT TRN number, which will be directly linked to the MOFAC, that is the customs registration number. Now, when I'm importing, say, assignment of $100,000, and government says that it has to be under 5% RCM, I don't have to incur any 5% tax outflow. That is a cash outflow. As I said from the start, government has introduced the reverse charge mechanism to ease down the working capital, right? So there will be no actual cash flow. There will be no actual debits of the tax payment. It is just a book entry that will be reflected into my VAT return. So suppose when the supplier in the UAE will be importing some goods, it will be just in his VAT return, it will be directly linked with the customs, so it will be directly shown. Okay, and simultaneously in the same VAT return, I can claim back that 5% standard rated expenses. So there will be not a cash flow. Okay. Now, just to brief here, what are the favorable reasons in the UAE for the taxation here? So first of all, DMCC, as you know, this is a multi-commodity center, right? DMCC provides you a very lucrative benefits and the advantages to have a business here for the wholesalers, of course, and for the retailers, it's always a mainland preference, right? Okay, coming to the next scenarios, first thing, I got the goods, I imported the goods. Now there are the three scenarios on import of the goods. What I can do with the goods, I can send it to the either local retailers or the wholesalers in the UAE, and that is a B2B. As I said, it will be considered as the single composite supply or the multiple composite supply. If single composite supply under RCM, multiple composite supply, only gold item under RCM, making services at 5%, as we discussed previously. Okay, what if I am re-exporting? I have imported, I'm directly re-exporting, or I have purchased from UAE itself, and then I am exporting. Okay, on purchasing on locally itself, it will be covered under the first transaction only. Supplier must have purchased from another supplier in the UAE itself, right? It will be under the RCM only. So you can report, and when at the time of the exports, it will be a zero rated. VAT at the rate zero rated suppliers will be mentioned. Okay. Now the third thing is retail sales. For the retail sales, I would like to welcome our VAT manager Vidhi Shah to continue this, as she will be more convenient and she will be more better person to understand this. Thank you so much. Vidhi, over to you.
Yeah. Hello, good evening, everyone. Next slide, please. So the retail sector, UAE tourism sector achieved record-breaking growth in 2023. So that means they are contributing 220 billion to the GDP, that is 11.7% of the economy. And it is basically a 26% increase from the previous year. And not only the tourists, but a lot of people like they are seeking opportunities, job opportunities, and are migrating here. And that is the main reason why UAE has a huge retail marketplace right now. Now, coming to why consumers prefer UAE to buy gold and diamond. So basically, retail sales that are to the local residents and tourists in UAE. First, when we suppose if I go and buy a 99% purity of gold, that would be of 0%. That is the main advantage we have over here. So 99% gold purity would be taxed at the rate 0%, and that is the reason why people prefer UAE, that there are no taxes applicable and we only pay for the price of the products we are purchasing. So that is the main reason. Secondly, when suppose the purity assurance that we have here, UAE, especially another reason that is exceptional purity. UAE is known for its gold superior purity. The gold rates here are relatively close to the international markets. So that is the reason they prefer UAE, that it is they ensure the gold that you acquire here is not only of the highest quality, but it is also competitively priced. So we have a lot of options here, and that is the combination of purity and prices that makes the UAE the hotspot for the gold. Diverse offerings, we have a lot of choices over here. So there is a lot of competition and you get to buy from different retailers, and people are offering relatively cheaper prices than another retailer, and that becomes the more competitive price. So next slide, please. No, the previous one. Okay, so here the VAT at the rate 5% is applicable on the jewelry. So whenever I purchase a jewelry of 22 carat or maybe 18 carat, we have a lot of options, and at that time VAT at the rate 5% is applicable to local tourists as well as local residents. So now, when the benefit we have here for tourists is that the 5% VAT is refundable for tourists. So when there are people buying here 5% of VAT, when suppose as a tourist, when we go and you are not supposed to pay VAT at another country, you will be in a dilemma that why do I have to pay taxes over there when I'm not earning over there? So why would I pay taxes for that country? So for this, UAE has introduced VAT refund scheme for tourists. So now, who are eligible for the VAT refund tourists? Who are eligible? So the person must be above 18 years of age. He must be of 18. Obviously, 18 is a legal age. You cannot go and buy below 18. You are not earning there. So it is not misused. The 18 years of age criteria is that people do not misuse this refund for tourists. Next is you have to spend minimum of 250 dirhams. You cannot even if you spend 250 or more, you are eligible for VAT refund. And the 250 amount is exclusive of VAT. Obviously, only the product prices and making charges are involved in this. Valid travel documents, so that nobody is scamming the companies or nobody is scamming the retailers. So you must have a valid travel document, that you have a valid passport or return ticket and visa of UAE, so that it proves that you are a tourist over here. Next is the purchasing process. So when you go and buy, you need to take care that you have the tax-free status over there. The retailers, that they have the tax-free status. So now, how can we have the tax-free status? The participating retailers, they can register on the FTA portal for the refund of tourist scheme, and only those retailers are eligible to provide tax refunds or tax refundable invoices. So that is the main case, and it will help you a lot. There are a lot of tourists visiting over here, so that will enhance your business as well. Next is you need to have the tax-free tag on the invoice. Obviously, it is very important to have that tax-free tag on your invoice. Otherwise, you are not eligible, because it would be checked by the authorities, airport authorities they have over there. So that is the case. Validation and claim. You need to validate your purchase at the airport within 90 days before, like within 90 days of your purchases. So if you are in UAE as a tourist and you buy, let's say, suppose 2000 dirhams of gold product or something, you need to, and you have been buying 23rd on May, suppose let's take today's date, you need to validate it before 3 months, around 23rd August, before 23rd of August. So you need to validate that and claim the refund as soon as possible. You have to present the original tax invoices. That has to be the proof of the original tax invoice and along with the goods. So you have to show the tax invoice and the goods that you have bought, and it should be matching with one another. Now the tourist only receive 85% of VAT. They do deduct some charges, so we do not receive the full refund, but we do receive 85% of VAT, and that also helps a lot. You don't have to pay taxes, which I think compared to another countries is great. Next would be digital gold trading. Today's youth, they need everything in a second. They need everything in a click, that we don't have to go, we don't have to buy something, we don't have to be physically present over there. So we don't have to take care of the products. So digital gold trading is a huge advantage for those. Moreover, the purchase and sales all happens on online market prices, and that is the reason you can access digitally gold, and basically it helps in the liquidity as well. So if I have 200 dirhams of saving, I can buy 200 dirhams of gold as well. But when you go to buy physically, you cannot buy 200 dirhams of gold. That is nothing. So when you are trading digitally, that helps, that if you have 200 dirhams, you can buy the fractional ownership, that is. And liquidity is like when you want to sell it, you have easily available. You don't have to go somewhere and sell it at the current price. They won't reduce the price. So whenever you go to sell, you have the price that is on the platform that is going on internationally, and you get the same price at that time. Second is security. Basically, theft is the main reason everybody is scared of keeping physical gold over here. So security issues, we don't have to keep the products with us. We don't need to be scared that if I'm not home, what if something happens? It is always available with you on your phone, and you can sell it whenever you want. It is completely tax-free. VAT is not applicable on the digital gold transactions. So it is 0% tax at such transactions. And the transparency you have, what prices are going on today's date. There is no need to cross-check with some other person, that do you have another person who is selling at a cheaper price, or do you have another person who will buy at a higher cost, something like that. You will always have, the transparency will be the great point when you are selling digitally. So next would be the VAT compliance. It is really very important, knowing that how UAE economy is growing. You need to register, you need to be complied with the VAT, not only VAT, but all the part of taxation. You need to maintain and for VAT registration, basically, if you have made taxable supplies, For example, you are making taxable supplies and we have a threshold over here. So mandatory threshold is 375,000 dirhams. So if you are crossing that limit, 375,000 dirhams in 12 months maybe. So you have to register for VAT, and that is a mandatory registration. If you are crossing 1,87,500 dirhams, so you have to register voluntarily. You can register basically if you have expenses that are more than that are huge transactions you are purchasing a high value of goods or services or whatever. So you can claim the refund. So if you have 187,500 of turnover, you can register it as voluntary as well.
And
So
one point I
VAT
would like to
registration,
add here, Vidhi. So
yeah.
basically, when we are going for the VAT registration, right, there will be a one question which arises in our mind, right? Since the VAT is not applicable on the gold, okay, it is in zero rated supplies, or I am importing the gold and I am re-exporting, so it will be again a zero rate supplies. So whether we have to register for the VAT or not, this is a major question which arises in the industry. Okay, so I want to clarify this. The threshold registration limit, which has been clarified by Vidhi, that is a 375,000 dirhams. The standard rated taxable supplies, okay, taxable supplies includes the three items. Three items is the zero rated supplies, the standard rated supplies, and the imports. If you are registered in the business in UAE also, and you are only importing the gold, then also you have to register for it. If you're only exporting the gold, then also you have to register for the zero rated. That is an option called exception certificate. We can apply for the exception certificate to the government, that we can notify to the government that we are only going to export. So there's an to be for the less compliances, we can apply for the exception certificate that we are only going to make a zero rate supplies. And on the standard rate, of course, the registration threshold needs to be met. Okay, yeah, Vidhi, continue. Thank you.
So not only the VAT registration, we also need to maintain the books of accounts to comply with VAT. Obviously, we have to maintain everyday transactions. We have to record day-to-day transactions, and we have to keep it for our records. Minimum of 7 years is required. So that is the case, and obviously VAT return filing. If you are registered for VAT, you need to file the VAT returns on time, because if you don't, we do have the penalties over here. So we need to comply with that as well. So next would be the VAT return. So yeah, I would like to share one more thing. If you are B2B recipient, and if you are making B2B supplies, you need to ask declaration from recipient as well, that you don't have to charge VAT on that, as they will be charging the VAT and on RCM basis. So we need that declaration. So whenever if there's any query, we can have that, and we can have it as a proof at that time. And for recipient as well, we need to have the proper recording of import documents whenever we are importing some goods or anything. So we need to have the custom documents, custom clearance, and all of those documents for our records. Next, please. So if we don't comply, there are penalties over here, and they are heavy penalties. We don't want to do that. We don't want to pay those penalties. So if we do not register on time, if we are registering maybe a month later or 2 months later, we do have to pay 10,000 dirhams for that. Second would be late deregistration. So deregistration is when we are not making taxable supplies with taxable supplies that Tarun just clarified. That includes zero rated supplies, standard supplies, and import as well. If we are not making taxable supplies of, let's say, we are making 100,000 dirhams of taxable supplies from past 1 year. So that is the case where we have to deregister, as we are not meeting with the threshold limit we have. We are not even meeting with the 187,500, that is the voluntary limit over here. So we have to deregister, and within the 20 days, so when we have stopped making the taxable supplies and we have crossed a year, so within the 20 days we have to deregister, we have to apply for deregistration to FTA. And if not, there's a 1000 dirham penalty for per month, and it is capped up to 10,000 dirhams. So maximum would be 10,000 dirhams, but we have to pay 1000 dirhams per month. Next would be late VAT return filing penalties. If we do not file VAT returns on time, that is 28th of the following month. 28th of the following month is the due date for VAT return filings. And if we do not do that, so for first time, it would be 1000 dirham penalty. But if it is repetitive, we have to pay 2000 dirhams every return we don't file or every month we don't file. Next would be the incorrect tax return submission. Even if the tax return we have submitted is incorrect, there is the penalty for that also. So that is 83,000 for the first time. And if repetitively it's happening, then it would be 5,000 dirhams for the next month. So over to you, Tarun.
Yeah, Vidya. So thank you so much for the walkthrough on the retail sector and what are the compliances and the penalties as far as the VAT compliance is concerned in the UAE. So we have the poll questions for us, just to have an overview of what we have just gone through the slides. Okay, so I will be starting the poll questions now.
Great, Tarun. Thank you so much. And thank you, Vidhi, for those important insights. Can we have the first poll?
Yes. So, Jinnah Jewelers LLC is a wholesaler supplier of gold and diamond jewelry, which made an export sale of a consignment of AED 100,000 dirhams. What would be the VAT implications on it? You have 15 seconds to answer. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Good.
So
Can
you're
we see
receiving
the
the more
results, Tarun?
answer. Yeah. Okay. So basically, 12 people have answered the right. That is, a Jinnah Jewelers will charge 0% VAT. It is not an exempt supply. It will be zero rated supply.
Excellent. So I think maximum people have answered right. What is the percentage?
The percentage is 92%.
Wow, excellent. So 8% still think that it is an exempt supply.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is zero rated, so it will be 0% VAT. Moving
Yeah.
ahead.
Hmm. So there's a gentleman called Ashutosh. He's interested in investing in gold, but as he prefers the digital trading. Okay. So what is the VAT? Whether the VAT would be applicable on the digital gold investments or not? And if so, what would the VAT rate be?
Excellent. Zero rated or exempt.
Yeah.
5 more
Okay.
seconds.
Now this is going to be some tricky.
Is it 50-50, Tarun? Can we know the results?
It's not 50-50, fortunately. It's 38-63.
Okay.
So for the 63% of the population, it's not an exempt supply. When we're dealing into the digital gold trading, it's an investment precious metal, right? So as we said that investment precious metal is completely a zero rate supply as it covers the purity form of 99% or more. Okay, the gold, silver, or platinum, and it is a tradable in the raw and the global bullion markets. So it's a zero rate supply and it's not an exempt supply.
Excellent.
Okay. The
Can we
third
have the
question.
third one?
Yeah. This is kind of case study. Tina is a 12-year-old daughter of Mr. Anand. She received a gold bangle of 6,000 AED as a gift on her birthday, with the invoice named in her name. Now, being a tourist, whether she would be liable for the VAT refund or not. Okay, yes.
I'm sure there'll be tough competition.
It seems to be easy.
5 more seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tarun, can we know the answer and the results?
93% has corrected. Yes, it's
Still.
since Tina is not eligible, she cannot be a minor. In this case, if the invoice has been named under the name of Mr. Anand, being Mr. Anand being major, in this case, if the invoice has been named under Mr. Anand, then we are eligible for the VAT refund. We are not eligible for the VAT refund under the name of Miss Tina.
Thank you.
Okay.
And we have the next one.
Okay, it's simple. What are the conditions for the tourist on a minimum expenditure to claim a VAT refund?
Five more seconds. Can we
100
know the answer?
percent. It's 100 percentage. 250 AD. The answer is 100%. Okay, the next
Excellent.
one. Now, this is something tricky. What compliance measures need to be followed by the retailers? By retailers, here I mean to say jewelers which are selling the jewelries to provide refunds to the tourists. What do they need to do?
They either have to register with local tourism or register at FTA portal. So what does the crowd think we know? I think we can give them 7-8 seconds more.
Yeah. Yeah, so 94% crowd says that it is to the FTA portal, and they are correct.
Excellent.
Okay, moving to the next one. Can you see the question? Can you see the poll?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. How should a jewelry trading LLC handle the VAT payment for the imported shipment of gold and diamond jewelry? So basically, I have imported some gold from, let's say, India. Then what should be the case here? Whether I will pay a VAT to my home country, or shall I book it under RCM?
5 more seconds. Excellent.
Yeah,
Let
so
the
basically,
audience
yes,
answer.
93% says it's a charge under RCM, as it's clearly discussed that there will be no cash outflow with respect to that front. It will be auto linkage, and it will be coming directly under the VAT return of and jewelry trading.
Excellent. We have more.
Just a last question.
Excellent.
It's as simple as that, as we discussed. How is the import of raw gold, that is 99% investment precious metal, will be treated under UE VAT regulations? Yeah, we can expect here 100%. Okay, 5 more seconds. Yeah, it's a 0 rated.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for the active participation. I hope the synopsis of the amendments on gold and diamond industry, as well as for the tourist, was helpful. If you have any questions regarding VAT refunds or gold and diamond jewelry, or any challenges in terms of audits, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to answer all the queries that you have. Thank you for attending, and we hope to see you on our next webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much.